have value. Everybody is a precious individual. Everybody is different. Everybody has value. It's just a matter of how to show it and how to plan your activities and coursework to show that to the best of your ability. So before we go into that, I'd like to talk about some essays because I had a meeting with a parent who said, Yoshida, I'm concerned. My child wants to write about sports in the college essay, and I don't think it's good. It should be something different. I said, no, if that's something what you strongly about, that's perfectly okay. So those are the essays this year that got our students into top schools. Dance to math. I love this essay. So the student was a big dancer, and she calculated her moves into mathematical formulations and put it in a very interesting essay. But those essay topics actually have nothing to do with the major that ended up later. So that's one thing I would like to know. The college essay doesn't have to have anything to do with what you want to study in college, but it needs to show who you are. So one student was dance to math, another student with the world of mushrooms, very interesting essay. She wrote about how she loves mushrooms and how the formations in nature inspires her and how that reflects in her life. Surf and turf, I navigate. So this student was an adventurer. He likes to take risks and go into different adventures. And in this student, I started out in 9th grade, being his counselor. Every time he went on adventures, Boy Scout, otherwise, I asked him to write a little journal so that I can keep them for 3 years. And when it was time to write college essays, we had tons of materials to work on to make this is a very interesting one. Gymnastics defines me. Different moves in gymnastics and how it developed me. Jobs at Forest Run. How she serves different customers and how smiles behind steaming bowls expresses her concerns about different people in the community. Playing hockey, one step at a time. It's not easy to master any of the skills. She got into Stanford. Painting brush and baseball bat. That's an interesting essay. He was an artist at the same time baseball player. So one brush on one hand, baseball bat the other hand, made it into a very interesting essay. Late studying violin, never too late to learn. She studied violin at 8th grade. And at first it didn't go well, but she learned in the end that it's never late to start learning anything new. So all these essays worked out very well for them. I just wanted to know that essays really is something to show yourself, not necessarily what you want to study in college, but what kind of student you want to be in your dream college. So that having said, at the end of the day, on your application form, you have to show the quality of your academic past and extracurricular activities and depths and breadth both. So you have to have a solid coursework, your GPA, test scores, activities, and activities. What is important is the links that you have been involved in, sustained activity. Competitions, AMC, USACO, speech debate, any competition is good, but best be on a national to international level. And these days, if you aspire to go into top schools, AMC, AME, USACO are almost essential. Okay? And then you have to write good essays, have interviews, you have to have art portfolio, music portfolio, coding portfolio if you have some. And then you need to select your colleges wisely so that you have a good list of which school, target school, and safety schools. Alright? So, you have to do all that in 3 years of high school. Let's talk about high school coursework. UC required A to G graduate requirement, right? So A to G meaning you have to have 4 years of English, 3 years of mathematics, 2 years of science, and 1 electives and art, PE. So that A to G requirement and graduation requirement your high school has is just bare minimum. That alone would not actually get you into your dream schools. You need to add electives that is catered to what you're interested or what you might be interested in. And art, honors, and APs, because the number of AP classes and honor classes offered at high school, how many of them you took, is actually what the admission officer is going to look at. And then, come 11th grade, 12th grade, your coursework should cater to the specific major you want. If you want to go into engineering, physics is essential. But it's difficult to take physics, chemistry, and biology, all three, when schools only allow you to take one science course a year, right? So when to take what science, and if you qualify to take them, because physics requires certain levels of math, it's important, and Kevin, academic counselor, will be talking about that later. So I'll show you that these schools, undergraduate admissions, MIT, Carnegie Mellon, Princeton, Stanford, Caltech, all require 1 year of physics, 1 year of chemistry. MIT doesn't require, it's recommended, but recommended just means you should have it to make you good candidate. Maths, calculus, up to calculus is minimum. And for Princeton and Stanford, it doesn't matter what major you're going to be. You should have physics, 1 year of physics as the basic science. So in order to have all that, this is a good plan for engineering majors to have. In 12th grade, hopefully you have multivariables. You have gone beyond calculus and have multivariables. If you can have it at school, you can have AP statistics at school, AP calculus BC at school, and take multivariables at City College or De Anza College. It's best to have that if you want top 10 to 20 schools. AP Physics C, Social Science, English. AP is preferred because, not so much for UC systems, but Ivy Leagues, Stanford, those schools also say we like student who has a very good English writing ability. So English is not to be ignored. And one electives, if you want to go for pre-med or business, I hope to see AP calculus or statistics, please. AP science for pre-med, AP biology or AP chemistry. Social sciences, if it's business, better be AP Gov, AP Econ. And AP psychology if your school offers it, because psychology is a very good subject to have. And if you're going into pre-med, MCAT later on, you need psychology. Okay? So how do you put all that in your schedule? How can I add these classes? You can try to do concurrent enrollment if you're beyond 10th grade by signing up for community college classes, and those classes are usually easier actually than your high school classes. You can take online high school classes. UCScout.com is an online classes offered by UC Systems, therefore you get UC credit, and they have expanded their course offerings greatly. So there are almost every classes available there. You can certainly take physics here if you cannot take squeezing physics in your school curriculum. The only subject you cannot take is chemistry. Unfortunately, chemistry has so much regular that there's no online chemistry classes that you can get credit for. But you can certainly take chemistry at De Anza College or community colleges, or you can just take AP test, which is not a very recommended way to do it because it's just testing out from the course, but it can be done. Okay? So when you're squeezing all these things, you need to say, okay, when can I take physics? My major is going to be mechanical engineering. I need to take physics up to physics C before I apply to college. Should I take calculus AB or calculus BC? Or AP Stat necessary? Do I have to take AP Stat, or can I just stick with calculus BC for senior year? All these questions come up, and that's why we are here, to meet with you and consult and plan courseworks to make sure you have everything you need to make you a good candidate. So in order to get into UC systems, there are 14 UC approved criteria. And a lot of these have a lot to do with what you have in your course schedule. This is available online, but if you like to know, those are the 14 things, except for the 14 one, geographic location doesn't apply to students in this area because you're in a geographically very good area. to have all these opportunities to learn beyond what your high school offers. Local context, formerly called eligibility local context, is top 9% of your California high school. You'll be notified after you submit the application form, and then you'll be guaranteed one UC campus if you don't get into any in the end. So given all these things, how do you prepare for UC first and then prepare for other schools at the same time? You need to have core subject beyond A to G requirement. So beyond 3 years of mathematics, 4 years of English, and whatever is required, you need to take more classes. You need to have achievement in special project. How do we do that? You can join robotics, you can go to hackathon, you can do math competitions. There are many other ways to do this. Participation in educational preparation programs. UC offers Cosmos, and this year we have quite a number of students who got into Cosmos from ShareWorld. YSP is a 6-week residential research camp program offered at UC Davis. This is a very good one. Almost everybody who goes to that camp end up in Ivy Leagues. And we do have a couple of students who got into this program. They only take 20 girls, 20 boys each year. There's Stanford Simmer, which is also very competitive. We have one student who got in Simmer this year. So this education participation in those kind of programs is going to be very important if you're going to aspire to get into top UC systems and top schools. And in order to get there, how do I get into Cosmos? How do I get into SIMR? How do I get into YSP? You have to build yourself up to get there. Usually the priority is given to rising seniors. 11th graders have a better chance to get in, although we do have 10th graders who get accepted. So before you get to that point, you have to build your foundations. Academic accomplishment within life experiences. Have you done any research? Have you tried internships? Have you worked somewhere to gain some work experience? Those are also important elements you need to build. And those can usually only be done during the summer. That's why I sit down with students early in November to plan their summer, because most of the competitive summer camp close before February. So experience outside of your school is essential for top schools, and summer is the time really to boost your profile. Any questions up to this point? Yes.
For the work experience, it's just they go to the boba shop, or they need something related to
their major. Yeah. Either one works. Any work experience is a good way to show that you're a very responsible person who can assume responsibilities and provide services in return for compensations. But of course, if you can find a job related to a major, that's also good. But it's very difficult to do that.
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So, let's say you apply for 3 weeks research experience, and then 3 weeks out of the summer you worked in a coffee shop. That's fine as well. At the end of the day, it's the combination of different experiences you have that counts. Okay? Of course, so for the summer, I recommend my students to have something related to academics, like summer camp. There are different types of summer camp, starting with 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. You pick whatever fits your schedule and also your grade and cost. Okay, so you need to gain in-depth experience and knowledge in a particular field of your choice. And summer volunteer, I would like to see 300 hours volunteer hours at least, before you apply to college. So summer is the time to build up and accumulate enough hours to do that. And volunteer also exposes you to the outside community, and it will connect you and help you network with different types of students. And experiencing diversity is extremely important for UC systems. Okay? And you also need to prepare for your SAT test taking. Right? SAT, ACT, SAT2 subject test, and summer is a good time to do that. And also prepare for the coming year's academics including AP classes. So you need to do these 3 things for sure during the summer. Your summer is going to be very busy.
How many hours for volunteer? Cumulative.
There is no set number, but I would like to say it's 300 hours before you apply to college.
How many?
300.
300.
That sounds a lot, but it's actually not, because if you do 1 volunteer a week, and then you have 36 weeks during the school year, that's already over 100 hours just from 1 volunteer. But what your school requires has nothing to do with what colleges like to see. So just because your school says, okay, 8 hours is enough, definitely not enough. So you should at least have 1 continuous volunteer work. It doesn't have to be any organization related to what you want to major in college, although I do have places I can recommend for student who wants to go into computer science, student who wants to go into medicine, but couple things at school, couple things outside of school, and 5 different organizations is minimum for UC application. It goes by the organization. So I hope to see at least 3 to 4 different types of volunteer work put together, 300 hours. 100 hours each year of your high school before you apply.
So the 300 hour, the minimum 300 hours you recommend, does it start after you're entering 9th grade? Or you could be like the summer before you're entering 9th grade? Will that count?
For common application for private schools, yes, it does count, but for UCs, after 9th grade. So
After the first day, you start the 9th grade.
but you can also count upcoming ones for 12th grade. So you're applying at the beginning of 12th grade, and you say, okay, I'm a member of Leo Club at school. Leo Club is going to have 30 volunteer hours this year. That could be counted into that.
We just moved into like US, and then my daughter is in 10th grade. I don't think she can accumulate 300 hours. So in that case, college, like consider the
Yes.
situation we are in.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. But it's not that difficult to accumulate that many hours, even if you start at 10th grade. That's why we need to sit down and discuss what would be the best approach for you to get the maximum hours. And also it's the quality, not the quantity. So 200 hours of very good volunteer is much better than 300 hours of doing a little bit there, a little bit here. Okay? Yes.
Does junior year summer volunteer hour count?
Yes, of course. And also junior year summer, if you take a college course, that would count into your GPA. So all these things accumulated, you put in your application form. Colleges want to know do you have life beside high school, or you just study? Do you have experience and expanded your intellectual interest beyond what is offered at high school? Have you taken any courses outside of high school? How are you pursuing your interest? You say you're interested, but all you have done is taking computer science classes. That's definitely not going to be enough these days. And the same, are you connected to the world outside of your high school? Have you collaborated with others? Like Oscar said at the very beginning, all in school engineering, their very last stage of selection is to observe you work on a group project. For engineers, it's very important that you're able to collaborate with others. So you need to have an experience that you have collaborated to do something with other people, and that should come out in your essay very clearly. Any other questions up to this point? Okay. Now, for the 11th graders, this is what you should be doing now at this point. I'm studying my students to draft college essays over the spring break. And so you need to create common application account now. It's available. All the information you put in will carry over when you become 12th grade. You can update Navians, because I'm sure your schools use Navians. Always visit your Navians each month, at least twice a semester, to update information there. There are a lot of good information there too. Scholarship, jobs. So you should visit Canadians. You need to compile your college list so that you can plan a visit to college. Also, many colleges are coming to this area. There's a big seminar on May 1st. So you have a college list and you know which one to go to. And you need to select teachers as for recommendation letters because I know it's difficult to get rec letters, particularly if you go to a public school, because each teacher has a limited number of students. And depending on the college, there is a condition. One has to come with math teacher, the other one has to come with a literature teacher. So you really need to compile a college list before you go to ask for teacher recommendation letter. And you need to plan a campus tour, because if you want to go to East Coast to visit colleges, it's going to take 3 nights, 4 nights. And I have a sample schedule if you're interested. And I can show you the sample schedule, which one to visit in what order. And you need to finalize your ACT test planning. You should finish taking all these tests before August, latest October, because otherwise you won't have test scores before you apply for early actions and early decisions. And I do recommend you to do early action, at least a couple of schools. 1 safety school, 2 safety schools, so that you know you have something before you hear from UCs. Okay? So, there's a lot of things you need to do, but each one of you is different. So I sit down with students and spend enough time to make sure that you're different.
I was gonna ask, what's the benefit of applying early, and how do colleges see that?
Okay? Benefit of applying early, your teacher has to finish recommendation letter. So you know your teachers are writing recommendation letter on time. 2, if you hear from the schools, you apply early action, not early decision, because early decision is binding. Do you know the difference between early action and early decision? Okay. So early action, that just means you apply early. Usually the deadline falls between October 15th to November 1st. You hear from the college by December 15th. Therefore, you know, let's say you want to do engineering, you apply early to Purdue, you apply early to University of Michigan. You heard from those 2 schools by December 15th. That means you don't have to apply for any schools below that you're planning to apply to safety school. So you can reduce the number of schools you're going to apply. And then you also know that if the application goes to and you get in, you know that your application is solid. There's no mistake. It's okay. For the remaining schools, that has deadline on January 1st to 15th. Early decision, if you know which school you really want to go, then many schools have much higher acceptance rate for early decisions because you're committing yourself to schools. So some schools, the regular decision acceptance rate is below 10%, but early decision could be somewhere between 20 to 30%. So if you really know which school you want to go to, early decision is not a bad choice. And we do have a lot of good results this year for early decisions as well.
So some people say the EA applicant pool is very strong. So will that put the candidate at a disadvantage if the person apply?
No, it's usually because if you don't get into EA, you probably won't get into for the regular decision anyway. So it's good to apply early. The only thing you have to be careful is, since the deadline is November 1st, if you had a late start in essay drafting, your essay may not be in the optimal condition. That's why I make my students start early, so that by October, you have a good essay. Okay? So I'll be available to answer any questions, and I also offer 30 minutes consultations for free. So if you're interested, you can sign up, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. We just quickly went through everything you need to know to make yourself or your daughters and sons eligible for top colleges, good colleges. Okay. Thank you.